All right, guys, welcome back to our podcast.
Welcome back.
It's the Allie and Dan podcast. You know it. We hope you like it. I know there's some people that after last week are a little upset with some of the comments Allie made.
Well, I'm not so sure they were the comments from my mouth, but we'll let Dan say what he wants.
We will address those comments in this podcast, so hopefully you guys can stick it out, you know.
And we are excited to be recording today's podcast in my chalet.
Yeah.
Which you can see is lovely and cozy. We're actually just doing it in between guests. Mm-hmm. The people left it very clean, so the cleaning wasn't that big of a project today.
Yeah. It's a great, if you're on YouTube watching this, it's a great scenery, I think. It looks really nice with the wood in the background and the big bed. Huck and Terry are literally right next to us, but slightly off screen. So it's a family affair today.
It is.
How are you feeling? 33 and a half weeks?
33 and a half weeks. I feel some of the best I think I've felt in a while, but I get pretty tired pretty easily, and it's really uncomfortable to bend down and over and to the side and whatnot. But that's not me complaining. It's just it doesn't feel very good to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel good.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think this has been, I almost don't want to say it because I'm afraid it'll change, but it's been probably early third trimester has been the easiest for me so far. I mean, mentally and physically, because you're in the third trimester, so you're like, I am nearing the finish line. We are just about there.
Wow.
And yeah, physically I'm just
yeah, because in first trimester you're staring down you're nauseous, and oof. I mean you didn't look super great when you were, you know, mentally I could tell you were struggling with the nausea, you know, in first trimester, and you've got 30 weeks of it to go, and you don't know if it's going to end.
Super never ending. Yeah.
Was that the worst of the pregnancy, or what was the worst?
Well, the worst part for me was the start of my second trimester. I had incredible back pain. And once I got that sorted out, it was a lot better. I do get annoyed when I don't sleep, but I have slept the past few nights. So, and I just think second trimester was like, once I got rid of the back pain, it was like, this is never ending. I still have a lifetime to go.
Oh man.
And then once we hit the third trimester, mentally it got a lot easier, and I actually feel better.
Well, hopefully that keeps up, but I know, I mean, I expected when we were going into this that you would look much bigger at 34 weeks, almost 34 weeks.
For sure.
But you really don't. I think you're measuring right on the kind of average range of size. So yeah, I've been learning a lot, and it's been, overall, yeah, I know I can say this, but it's been moving pretty quick. I just feel like the weeks, but when you look at the big picture, I'm just like, oh man, I got all this time to wait. But when you start looking at the weeks, they do kind of go by quick. Do you? You don't agree with that, do you?
I didn't agree with that in the second trimester, but since we left Idaho, I guess, I feel because we are keeping busy and doing so many things, and we are working on the van, getting the van ready for our baby girl, that's been exciting and exhausting.
Yeah.
I used to be able to go from like 7 in the morning until like 10 at night, just nonstop doing stuff and building or whatever. And now it's more like 6 hours and I'm toasted.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Well, we did get a ton of stuff done on the van. You guys, I'm not going to spoil it, so that we have an episode coming out, so I don't want to spoil it for everybody. But it's pretty cool. I mean, we're already utilizing what we did, and we just did a lot of good stuff. I would say it's almost there minus one other project, which also happens to be the biggest project. So we've got to figure
Well,
that out. But you guys will see that in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We have time, so.
Well, let's dive into today's topics. The first one being our controversial podcast last week. And I honestly did not expect, I really didn't expect that type of reaction. But now looking back on it, I guess I can see why people, and I guess if you guys hadn't listened to last week's podcast, I spoke about Queen Elizabeth's death, and maybe could have been a little more, what's the right word? Maybe could have been a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sensitive. That's a good word for it. Yeah, sensitive to that. And I there are some things I want to correct that I said, but I did go back and listen to it after we got a lot of comments, a lot of people from that we see fairly regularly on our channel, saying that they were not happy with the podcast. So I went back and re-listened to it, and I was like, oh man, what did I say? I must have I was thinking like, wow, I must have really said some bad stuff. I didn't think I did, and so I went back and re-listened to it, and I came away thinking like, okay, that wasn't very bad. So I really didn't. I mean, in my opinion, but I will clarify because I could have been more sensitive. Did you think it was when we were doing it? Did you think it was going to be a big deal?
No, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal at all. I think what we probably didn't emphasize was that we, of course, think it's sad to lose anyone. I mean, she's got grandkids and kids, and that's really sad for sure. That's for anyone. It's just kind of crazy that it's sad for so many other people, but if they looked up to her and were very, into, her life and what she's done, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We were not. So It wasn't sad for us, although we have sympathy for the rest of course, her family and everything that are grieving.
I didn't want to come off as like, oh, I'm glad she's dead. I'm indifferent to the royal family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just indifferent is a very good thing. It's like I don't think they do anything that affects our life, so I don't.
Yeah, and I guess one thing I did say that I would take back is that I said like, oh, I don't think other people care either, and that's obviously not true. Like, there's tons of people that care. And so
there are tons
I said that, and when I was re-listening to it, I was like, okay, well, that's not accurate. I know, like, there are a lot of people that care. There's people in the Van fam that are very, in, like you said, invested in the royal family. And I guess for me, it's like I just have a hard time trusting major institutions, whether it's government, politicians, CEO, huge multinational corporations, all these different things. And I, in a way, lump the royal family in as kind of politicians in my mind. And that's just me. That's just literally my opinion. And so, but I don't really look at the royal family in the same way I look at like our U.S. presidents of late, and pretty much throughout history, to be honest. But especially of late of my lifetime, where it's like I just always feel like we're getting conned constantly, and there's just, the way I look at it is like money is infected and corrupted so much of like our daily lives through politics that I just have a hard time with trust in that sense. So overall, I really am quite indifferent to the royal family, and I just I just didn't mean to. I guess the only thing I'm really bummed about is that some people were upset with my opinion and the way I stated it, I think. So
yeah, and upset enough, and I agree with Dan going back. I didn't think it sounded that horrible, but so it upset people in the fact that they aren't going to listen to us again, and that's okay. We can't please everybody, and we all have our own opinions, and we all have our right to our own opinions, and we all can choose whether or not to listen to other people's opinions.
Right.
So that's okay. We'll miss them, but that's
Maybe they'll be back.
That's what we chose to do, and
yeah, we just like to riff on here. It's like, I one of my biggest things in life is to try not to take it too seriously and to try and keep it light, and that's served me well in some cases and probably not well in others, where I probably could have been better in my 20s financially with my money and stuff like that, but I've always tried to be like, to take, to just not take life too seriously. And so I guess when we do this podcast, that's kind of my approach. Although I don't ever want any of our content to be something that angers people. I've always wanted,
Sure.
I'm not trying to be controversial. I just want our podcast and our whatever we put out to be a way for people to get disconnected from whatever's going on in their life and tune in and hopefully be entertained and hopefully like and subscribe.
Yeah, and have some nice takeaways, which I think is what we all try and get when we listen to other people's podcasts.
Yeah, I've been watching a little bit of Simple Living Alaska lately, and they do some really great stuff. I mean, their show, I highly recommend it. I was recommended it this summer by someone we crossed paths with, and that's kind of what
Who recommended it?
In Montana, the friends we stayed with in Flathead Lake.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, their brother-in-law or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyways, and so I've been really, and I want to get better for us at making. This whole YouTube thing is such a big learning experience, and in a way that has quite literally shocked me. And I thought it was going to be. Part of me thought it was going to be easier than it has been, but then deeper down, I think it's such a competitive thing to get people to just pay attention to you and just enjoy your content. And content is king. And sometimes I think, oh, this is a really good episode. And then it's almost universal when I say that. It's the worst episode performance-wise, but the editing's good. And then the comments I see on that from people that watch our channel regularly, this was such a great episode. So that kind of reinforces, even though YouTube doesn't show our video, and I have a ton of beef with YouTube, but the people that do watch our videos seem to pick up when I'm when I'm proud of an episode, I see those comments from you guys, and it means a lot. So
we love our Van Fam, and we appreciate your opinions and your input and everything that you have to tell us. I think another thing that I wouldn't mind brushing on quickly is Dan leaving me on the hike in Hawaii.
Yikes.
Dan shouldn't have done that, but you guys know Dan and know that wasn't normal for Dan, and I don't know what got into you that day.
Just
but
moving and grooving.
He did not do it intentionally, and I got some concerning emails and stuff, and I can assure you that Dan is a fantastic partner, and he's going to be an even better father, and there's no concerns.
Really?
Because you're not going to do that again, are you now?
No, but we're not going back to the Big Island anytime soon either, so. But I will not, no. And there may have been some exaggeration there, right? Don't you think? I mean, you said an hour I left you. It wasn't.
Well, okay, I didn't have a watch on me.
No, we and I knew when I put that up. I mean, I edited that episode and I put that episode out and I said, hey, this is, sometimes guys, we're not the smartest creatures in the world. We make mistakes, and I put it out there and I said, hey, look at me, world. Here I am, vulnerable, screwing up. Well,
that's another thing is we had the camera. We were going to film this hike and this walk and what we were up to that day, and we could have chosen to leave it out, but
we don't do that.
So
what happened, to be quite honest, and I haven't even told you this, I started thinking about fantasy football and just got into another world. and then I accidentally ditched you.
What? Can you guys
fantasy
believe?
Football.
Fantasy football.
Well, the season was just starting a few days after that, so I was thinking about my lineups, and you kind of got to get mentally prepared going into the season, going into battle like that. So I just let time and my legs take over, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I look back and there's no pregnant Allie Vondering, and I'm standing in a foot of mud going, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Did you yelled for my name, and
I did. Well, I could
it.
see you for a while, obviously, in front of me, and then I couldn't, and I just figured the trees were covering you because the path was, well,
that was one of the worst hikes ever.
It was terrible.
It was nice to get to the end of it when we got to swim,
but then you had to go all the way back.
You had to walk. It was 2 hours easy. It might have been 2.5, but it was 2 hour. And it was a 4 to 5 hour hike round trip, and I mean and we thought that coconut for me gave me life on the second half because we found it after we had gone swimming. And we went swimming thinking, okay, we're going to wash all this dirty, stinky mud off of us, and then we're going to walk back to the car.
We're going to try not to get in mud on the walk back.
We knew it was going to be tough, but I was like, I think we can do it. And then you found a coconut, and that was just like, wow, like, okay, this is awesome, a fresh coconut. And so we hauled that back to the car, and we got so muddy on the way back. We got even probably muddier on the way back than we did on the way there. And then we cracked open the coconut, and it tasted like vinegar, but worse. It was disturbing. So,
anyways, Dan learned a lesson, and I just wanted to reassure our incredible van fam that I'm not holding a grudge. I'm over it, and you can be over it too. We still love Dan.
Yeah. Speaking of, I am 2-0 in fantasy. So
I don't know what that means.
I haven't
You've won.
I've won 2 weeks in a row. And I'm
what kind of money are we talking about here?
Well, first place would be, I want to say $800. So that would be a good little come up.
It would be a good little come up.
We'll have to figure out something to do if I can finally win. I've never won. I've won a long time ago, but I've never won in this league that I'm in.
When is this thing over? This football thing?
Months.
Oh.
January.
I mean, I should know. I used to be a cheerleader for a football team, but
that to me is unbelievable.
I know. I don't remember.
Well, so in the spirit of, let's see, what do we have on topics? Well, I mean, what's going on with you right now?
What's going on with me?
Yeah, just fill us in.
Well,
I put Allie on the spot here.
No, I mean I've been spending a lot of time getting the chalet, whipping the chalet into shape so that.
Are you pleased with it?
I'm pleased with the inside of it. I'm considering building. Well, I'd like to put in a fire pit. The trouble with the fire pit is you need to have a place for firewood. And that I built this little fence out here so I could extend it, but I don't know if Dan wants to help me with it.
Yeah, of course I do.
It's it didn't take me. It took me not a day, a long weekend maybe, let's say, to do what's out there right now. But I didn't put in the cement pad. So anyway, I'm not really sure how we're going to keep the firewood if I don't build that because it rains a lot here. Whew. And then I just need to go price out how much that would cost because it's like, if it costs a couple $100, fine. But if it costs more than that, is it really worth it? Is it really going to bring that much benefit to the chalet? Will people really want to rent it out
That's
more?
My biggest question. I mean, it's like a fire pit. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
This is an outdoor fire pit. If I haven't made that
indoor
clear.
Would be epic.
We have an indoor pellet stove. Yeah. And the reason I chose pellet stove is so that nobody would burn my place down.
The pellet stove is
really
fantastic.
easy to use. Like I've gone and not known how to build a fire. Well, I don't think anybody not knows how to build a fire, but it's just like it's a little
You're
bit
not
of
an
effort. You
expert.
kind of have to. Yeah, I'm as much of an outdoorsy person. I'm not that great at building fires. So, anyway,
Your makeup in terms of like what you're good at and what you're not good at is interesting. Let's break it down a little bit.
oh yeah, okay, go.
Well, it's just, I guess, and I guess you could say the same for me. You know, it's like I'm good at cooking and doing like and vacuuming and laundry and stuff, and you're good at building and hiking and doing climbing mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And we've come together to form this union, and so all the chores get done, but in a way that most people I don't think operate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Where I kind of stay home, I take care of the home, and you go out and you're the breadwinner. Well, I'm just saying.
that's
You climb the mountains, I
that
stay
is
home
not
and wait.
true.
When you get back, I ask you how it was, and you tell me it was tough, and I'm said, well, hey, if anyone's going to do it, it's you.
Dan's just talking absolute.
Well, I'm talking some
gobble smack.
some shite, but I would say that you're mentally tough in those ways. You
Yeah,
know?
but I think we've realized this week when we had an argument, but you are a lot, you made some good points. You are a lot stronger in some mental aspects. Like,
Right.
I
Agreed.
for sure.
It's the way people are.
Yeah.
We did a lot of people on. I watch a lot of couples on. Well, actually, I don't. I watch a few people on YouTube, but one channel I do like is. I would say I would say I like them, but I'm not like with Simple Living Alaska. Like some people when you see them post a new episode, it's like, oh cool, like I want to watch this. And with Matt and Abby, and I know there's some people on our channel who've commented their name because they just had a baby and stuff, but I do enjoy watching Matt and Abby from time to time. I wouldn't say I'm like never miss an episode type of person, but this relates to the fact that we got into what I would consider to be a sizable argument this week, Sunday evening. But they have mentioned the same thing on their channel. And I think a lot of times with social media, with YouTube, and I kind of take YouTube in a different way than I would look at like Instagram or maybe even TikTok. But on YouTube, we see all these couples and it's like, oh, they live like this great life. And especially us, because we're like trying to build our dream. We're trying to build our life the way we want it. And we're using YouTube hopefully to become that primary earning revenue stream for us. And it's like, it's a tough business. And there's a lot of couples out there, I think they all fight. You know what I mean? They all have huge arguments.
I mean, I think disagreements and no two people, it doesn't seem right if two people could just live this life and not disagree about something. That's crazy. And this particular fight was larger than probably any other one we've had, only because it meant so much to both of us, and it meant so much about our future, I guess, and like what was important to us and everything. And fights are normal. I mean, I don't think that, I had a man tell me once, if I don't remember who this was. Do you? If my ex-wife and I still fought like that, we'd still be married, because you have to care. You have to have
Was
passion.
he talking about a fight we had or a fight?
It wasn't a fight that we had. It was somebody else's argument or something.
Was it it might have been from like a show or something. No, I think it was real life.
I don't know. I think it was real life, and I'll just never forget that. Like that's
that's a good.
That's true. You have to
quote.
have passion. You can't just.
Remember those other quotes you used to have when we first met? What were those?
Oh, I tell some of my single girlfriends this all the time.
Allie's great for a good quote when you need it.
It's really simple, but if he likes you, you'll know, and if he doesn't, you'll be confused. It's really, it's like, it's really as simple as that. If you're sitting there, like calling your girlfriend, like he messaged this, and then what do I say back? If you're in this state of confusion, he's not that into you.
Yeah, or speaking from a guy's perspective, if you're not treating a girl like she's special, that's going to probably cause a girl to feel like, well, it's like, I don't know. It's like, but yeah.
I mean, so I had a negative amount of doubts that you liked me. Like if he likes you, you'll know, right. And if he doesn't, you'll be confused. And it's really it's really simple.
It's a great quote because it is so simple, and I think simplicity is.
I didn't make it up. Important. I read it somewhere and was like, "Wow, that's good."
If you had made that up, I would have said, "Start writing your quotes down, and we'll sell a book."
I didn't make that up, and
quotes from the road.
Can you remember the other two? I had two other ones.
No, I was just going to ask you the same. But let's stay on that quote for a second, because I wonder, from a guy's perspective, if that applies to men as well. If she likes you, you'll know, and if she doesn't, you'll be confused. Because any relationship I've been in, I've been like, oh, this girl really likes me, and I like her. There's not been any confusion, but when I've been interested in a girl and I've been confused, we might still go on a date or like meet up, and I've had those, but it's there's definitely like an emptiness there when it's not both people being open and like vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say that probably does apply to men and women equally.
Yeah, I think for sure.
Gosh, you had two other good ones.
Another one is, a man is only insecure if he knows if he's not good enough for you.
Oh, that was one.
Something like that. But it's like, if you're, I kind of dated, I guess you could say, to what the internet calls, am I allowed to swear?
F-boys?
What the internet calls F-boys now. And
shout out F-Boy Island on HBO Max.
I think and I'm not trying to talk myself up, but I sincerely think that they both knew that I was too good for them.
Wow, big statement.
And I think that they were both insecure because I just had my life together. I've got it going on. I live in a van and everything, but I've got it. I've always had it going on. And I've always been on top of things. And then, the same has been true. For example, my sister dated a complete mess. I don't know what to call him. And I think he was only insecure because she was way too good for him. Despite the fact that he was good, a fun guy and everything, but he just couldn't pull it together, I think, because he knew she's way out of my league. Anyway, I just think it rings pretty true.
Yeah, you got to be able to get things in order if you want to advance in life. It's like, now that we're having our first kid, which I'm just so excited about, and now it's like, I don't like fighting. It's like fighting's normal, but I don't ever want anything to go south, because I think it's so important that we both raise her and whatever comes after her, if we're lucky enough to be able to have more kids together. I think it's so important that we raise kids together, and my parents have separated, your parents have separated, but it was later in life. And
for both of us, later in life.
I was 20 and you were
16.
So, but it's different now that it's like, you can't just up and leave, you can't just be like, well, we're done. And I'm not typically one to do that. Like if I get into a relationship, I'll either just stick around and then I don't know. I mean, I've only had really kind of 2 long ones, but yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just rambling for the Van fam.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it's also unhealthy to stick in a relationship that
True.
sucks. And then, how are you able? I have a really close friend of mine who has dealt with a really awful relationship. I mean, she has put up with more than anyone I know would have put up with. And at some point, I think I told her, I think, you have to do what's right for you, because in order for you to give your kids the best life, and I'm not a parent so I don't know, but you really have to ensure that you are taken care of almost first, because you can't give your kid 100% of yourself if you're not, she's been beaten down by this guy, and
mentally and emotionally, not physically. Well, maybe physically.
Oh, not physically. No, that would never happen.
That would be bad.
But mentally and emotionally. And it's like at some stage you really have to just stick up for yourself. But she stuck through it, and now they're in a better position. So I think they're in a better position. And so, good on her for really sticking through his really rough side and working with him to figure out what it is he needed to be a better husband and father. So I wish the best for them, but it doesn't always turn around. Yeah.
When we switch over to Patreon, we'll talk about what's coming next, because, that was kind of what we had our fight about, I guess. Kind of. Not entirely, but I guess it was good to settle that. But anyways, we'll switch over to Patreon and we'll talk about that. And also we'll talk about how life is going here in the Pacific Northwest, because there's some cool things on the horizon. We're mulling things over, but also we've just settled in a little bit. So we'll see you guys over on the Patreon. If you're not subscribed to the Patreon, it's just patreon.com/Allie and Dan. And we do half the podcast over there.
Yeah. So we'll hope to see you guys over there, and we'll pick you up then.
Oh, one more thing about the Patreon is we are releasing, I think, the course on Patreon. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, and maybe we could offer it to people that don't want to be on Patreon in another way, but who doesn't want to be on Patreon? No, but it's a whole road life blueprint course that has just been sitting there, and we need to turn it into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we can go into that and describe it a little bit more, but I've put together an entire sort of start to finish course with Dan's expertise and help on how to choose the right vehicle and design and pick out what you need, and how to live on the road. I mean, it's very comprehensive as far as that goes, and we could lay it out more if people are really interested. I know people have joined the Facebook. We have a private Facebook group, and not everybody is wanting that lifestyle. Some just want to look from a distance. Mm-hmm. So that's completely fine, whatever you want to do. But if you are interested, let us know. We can offer it more publicly as well. But we'll put it on Patreon for now and see what people want.
Patreon's a great spot. So, yeah, we'll see you guys over on Patreon. Thanks for watching today's first half, and hopefully catch you on the other side.
Do we want to say the smallest tiers?